All right, everybody, I'm back again. This guy right here. I'm Minister James Moss. This is Continuing Education, and we're in the book of Luke. We're in chapter 13, and we're going to cover verses 10 through 17. This one is entitled, Jesus Heals the Crippled Woman. All right, this good stuff, Maynard. Yes. All right, here we go. The story of healing this woman is unique to Luke. It reveals the unfruitfulness of the nation of Israel to which Jesus' parable of the unfruitful tree alludes. Instead of finding love, justice, humility, and mercy among God's people, Jesus found an arrogance that didn't even allow healing a woman on the Sabbath, the day set aside for the God of mercy. All right. So, dun, dun, dun. And you know what? Before we get into it, it seemed like Jesus always picked the Sabbath day to heal people. And he probably did it every day, but the ones that stuck out was when he healed people on the Sabbath, cast out demons on the Sabbath. You know, they decided to eat on the Sabbath from the fields, and it just, he knew it was upsetting the program. People was like, oh, this dude, he think he's, yeah. But I like it because, I mean, he was sitting there like, I don't care what y'all think. Once you know who I am, you're going to see that what you think doesn't matter, especially to me. I am Lord of the Sabbath. And I like how the chosen, even though it's not written, when it was like, well, the laws of Moses is this. It's like, I am the law of Moses. Oh! Let you know Jesus was no punk. See, people in this day and time want you to be a punk as a Christian, but no, Jesus was no punk. And he didn't take no shorts. Jesus loved, he had compassion, but also Jesus would bring the fire if he needed to. And as you see the way he talked to these Pharisees who were leaders and lawyers and all that other stuff, he was like, y'all a bunch of hypocrites. He called them hypocrites to their face. Look, y'all, so y'all fake people. You this and you that, and they couldn't. All they could do was get mad. See, the truth hurts, but guess what? The conviction of the truth is what keeps them from being able to respond. They got to find. They got to be able to justify what they do unrighteously through an unrighteous decision, through an unrighteous act. They can't sit there and say, we're going to justly kill you. We're going to kill you because you told the truth. We're going to kill you because you didn't break any laws. We're going to kill you. No, they had to pervert the truth, which means what? They had to create lies. But we'll get there. You see. All right, so here we go. And he was teaching in one of the synagogues on the Sabbath. And behold, there was a woman which had a spirit of infirmity 18 years, and was bowed together, and could in no wise lift herself up. And when Jesus saw her, he called her to him, and said unto her, Woman, thou art loose from thine infirmity. It was so bad, Jesus was like, I'm not even going to ask you. I know you in pain. Look, that what's wrong with you? It's no more. And he laid his hands on her, and immediately she was made straight and glorified God. And the ruler of the synagogue answered with indignation because that Jesus had healed on the Sabbath day, and said unto the people, There are 6 days in which men ought to work. In them therefore come and be healed, and not on the Sabbath day. The Lord then answered him and said, Thou hypocrite. Doth not each one of you on the Sabbath loose his ox or his ass from the stall, and lead him away to watering? And ought not this woman, being a daughter of Abraham, who Satan hath bound, lo, these 18 years be loosed from this bond on the Sabbath day? And when he had said these things, all his adversaries were ashamed, and all the people rejoiced for all the glorious things that were done by him. Booyah! Not only were they upset, they was ashamed. I don't know him. Okay, here we go. Verses 10 and 11. Jesus had already come into conflict with the religious leaders over how the Sabbath should be used. At this particular time, as Jesus looked over the crowd, he saw a woman who had been bent double for 18 years. The text explains that this was the work of an evil spirit. She may not have been demon possessed because a demon didn't speak and Jesus did not cast out any demon. Instead, this woman's painful affliction is attributed to Satan's work. Verses 12 and 13, the woman did not ask. Instead, Jesus called her. He touched her and she was instantly healed. She stood up straight for the first time in 18 years. No wonder her first response was to praise and thank God. All right. Verse 14, Jesus had performed a great miracle with God's power. A woman had been set free from years of suffering and was praising God, but the synagogue leader was indignant. Why? Because Jesus had healed her on the Sabbath. The synagogue leader, who was addressing his remarks to the crowd and not to Jesus, could not see beyond the law to Jesus' compassion in healing this crippled woman. He simply concluded that if Jesus wanted to heal people, he should reserve his healing for the other 6 days of the week. Jesus did not need to abide by those laws, for they did not fulfill God's intention for the Sabbath and were burdensome on the people. Verses 15 and 16. Jesus shamed this synagogue ruler and other leaders by pointing out their hypocrisy. They would untie their animals and care for them on the Sabbath. Yet, these same people refused to see that care for humans is far more important. Jesus attributed the woman's illness to Satan and bondage by him. Whatever the immediate cause of an illness, its original source is Satan, the author of all the evil in the world. The good news is that Jesus is more powerful than any devil or any disease. He often brings physical healing in this life, and when he returns, he will put an end to all disease and disability. Verse 17, when Jesus made this point, all the people rejoiced. They probably appreciated a rabbi who stood up for them against the burdensome laws that the religious leaders had placed on them in every area of life. Jesus had shamed his enemies. This humiliation would cause such intense hatred that they would plot to kill him, of course. But they thought they were doing God a favor. And in essence, they did man a favor. All right. So that concludes this particular lesson, man. Yes. Muy bueno. Ooh. All right, so, hey, Jesus healed the crippled woman. And on top of that, he made these dudes feel embarrassed and ashamed that they tried to call him out for doing so. All right, and so we should be the same way. I mean, we don't have to be nasty about it or whatever, but whenever we're doing the work of God, when we know that we are commissioned by God, we should not let nothing stop us. We shouldn't let people say, well, you could have did that Monday through Friday. Why'd you wait till Saturday to come over to do that? Okay, my bad. No, God told me to step up and reach out and speak out, and that's what I did, and that's what I'm going to do. And we should resolve to be moved by the Holy Spirit in such a way that when God speaks, we move. When he speaks, we listen. When he says speak, we talk. All right? Until next time, God bless you. God keep you. Thank you for supporting this ministry and watching this video. Man, it's something to get crunk about, right? All right. Until next time, keep studying.